I'm Dan Rollo, been in real estate for about 16 years and been at this company for roughly about 11 years, 10, 11 years.
Howard Winters, the real estate doctor, been in the business for about 13 years and with KW 11 years.
I'm Rich Haviland. I've been licensed since Richard Nixon was president. Do the math on that. And I was with a lot of small agencies way back. And then I was with Remax for 10 years and 14 years here. And of course, KW is the best. If you don't know that, you will find out soon.
Diana, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself as well? I think you were muted.
She is still on mute. Looking at the camera.
Sorry, I thought I unmuted myself. Hey, guys.
Hey.
So thank you for inviting me. I am thrilled. I wish I could be in the room with you next time. So I've been in real estate since 2006. I was with a small boutique agency before that. I didn't know what I didn't know. I've been in real estate. And then I moved to Keller Williams 2012. I have a team in Bergen County, Northern New Jersey, and I have a team here in the fabulous Little Egg Harbor office. So yeah, I'm really excited to be working with you guys. I love, we have a really big, well-run market center in Ridgewood. And I didn't know that every Keller Williams was not the same. I thought it was like McDonald's in Japan is the same as McDonald's in Manhattan. Not happening. So when I found Tom and found your market center, I was over the moon. You guys are the real deal, and we're really super, super honored to be working with you. So that's me. You probably met some of my team members in our office, Mary Beth and Keith Weidenhoff, Brett Eckelman, and we have a couple other agents that come in and out of that office, but those people are in your Little Egg Harbor office and have been at your Christmas party recently, so you probably had drinks with them. That's all I got. I have nothing else interesting to say.
Sorry. All right, can you guys hear that a bit better? Everybody on the internet?
I can hear better.
All right, cool. Anyone have any questions for our panelists? You are more than welcome to put them in the chat, or if you are lucky enough to be in person, you can just simply ask them. I feel like,
I'll go first.
okay.
So in the market that we're in, this understory sellers, because the market's hot. What's your strategy into getting that listing? Or what's your verbiage, I should say?
Okay, I just had an experience with that this morning. So client that I've sold properties for him before said, hey, I saw him. Actually, I saw him at the city dump. And he says, oh, I want to meet with you. Can we stop and have coffee? So I made an appointment. We met at Smithfield Bakery this morning. And he has a property that's a duplex. And I was prepared to meet with him, went over all the numbers and stuff. And he says, you know, I think I want to sell this. I might try to see if I can sell it myself. So I said, okay, well, that's fine. You know, if there's ever a good market to do it in, it's this one. So I gave him all the comps and everything. So I just gave him all the information like I would have if he hadn't. So if he does it and sells the house, I'm like, that's okay. But if he doesn't and he gets jammed up, he's going to call me because I took care of him. So that's how I take it. I don't worry about it.
I share my strategy, and it has never changed from day one, regardless of what the market is doing. Lead generate, lead follow up, which is most important, role play, and go on appointments. So every day, I'm lead generating 2 to 4 hours a day. I'm staying in touch with all of my sphere, past clients, some people who are not even clients of mine, I'm staying in touch with them. Never know where the business come from. So for example, I took a listing yesterday from a friend of mine who never bought or sold from me, but she's in my database. And I stayed in touch with her. She said, my neighbor wants to sell her condo. I met with the neighbor yesterday, took the listing. I have a listing appointment on Friday, and it was just a referral from a past client. So when I do follow up with my clients, I always let them know that I'm here for them to help them any way that I possibly can. And I ask for business. And if you don't ask, you don't receive. So no matter what you're doing, you have to lead generate, lead follow up, role play, and go on appointments no matter what, or you won't be in a business. So it's as they say, real estate is simple, but it's not easy. If you do those 4 things, you will make money.
In this market, I think your question also, Al, correct me if I'm wrong, was partly like, how do you get the listing in this market, right? How do you actually obtain a listing? Meaning, where do you find the sellers? Is that?
Well, no, not
also,
so
or
much. I mean, we can all find sellers. No, look, I'm basically doing what Richard and Howard just said. I was just curious on if there's anything else out there that I'm not doing. I guess it's a 2-pronged answer. Like, getting the appointment is what we're all trying to do. You could talk on the phone and find your sellers or whatever. It's actually getting in the door to get that appointment. And then once that happens, closing them, I guess, when they tell you about that, I can sell it myself and stuff.
Okay.
I mean, I've done a couple of things that worked during this market that I was just curious to see if.
So if I got an objection, like, the market's so red hot, all I need to put is a sign in the ground and I'll have it sold.
Right.
The way I would approach that is I would ask them a question and say, hey, listen, have you heard about the law of supply and demand? And, wouldn't you agree that if we put it in the MLS and it would create an auction-like effect? And right now in this market, you are correct. You could put a sign in the ground and get it sold, but I guarantee you, I'll get you more offers, which will create the probability of you getting more money. And it's not uncommon where we have bidding wars, where we're selling properties 10% over what we're asking. So even though you may want to save 5% on commission, what's more important, saving 5% on commission or putting more money in your pocket?
Yep. That's good.
So that's how I handle it.
And that is really good. That's a script.
That's what I was gonna say. That's a script. To answer that question, I did not start in real estate to be a listing agent. I started in 2006 when the market took a crash, and I started to help people not lose their homes, and that was my focus. And I got very educated in foreclosures, and then realized I can't save everybody. A lot of people really needed to make a change in their lives and get out. So then I started working with REOs and banks, and then segued into builder and investor, which is what I do now, which is, we do everything, but that's very specifically me and what I love and what I excel at. But I was not good at the listing appointment. I sucked at the listing appointment, and so I didn't do the listing appointment. And I kept saying to myself, well, I don't actually have to do that because I don't go for listings. When I found out that putting all my eggs in the investor basket, and I usually learn every single lesson painfully, was not prudent and not balanced enough, I really had to figure out how to do the listing appointment. And how many people here have taken Bold? I don't know how many people are in the room. Yeah. So I hated it when I went there. I'm like, this is stupid, and I'm not doing this, and I'm not saying scripts, and I don't act like that. And this is ridiculous. But something stuck the first time, and I went back the second time. And the long story is, I realized I wasn't doing listing appointments because I wasn't good at them. And I don't want to do anything I don't feel like I'm not good at. But not getting listings or only working with investors really was not sustainable. So what if I actually just got good at it and practiced the scripts? And I heard somebody say, probably at Bold, with scripts, it's not about being canned. It's about knowing exactly everything that you want to say and all the objections, so that when you walk in the door, our whole in my opinion, sole responsibility is to get people to like and trust us and feel like we have their back. So if I know what I'm going to say and I have an answer for what they're going to say, and I'm comfortable in all the stuff, when I get there, I'm looking in their eyes and figuring out who they are, what they need, and how I'm going to fill that need. I'm not thinking, damn it, what do I say to that if she says this? So back to that, I mean, I was not good at listings. And sometimes I get off the listing track because I'm so busy with we're building and doing all the stuff. And I realized I went on a listing appointment the other day and I wasn't great. She challenged me on commission and I handled it, but I wasn't great. That means I need to be doing more listing appointments and practicing more of those objections. So even though you don't want to sound like scripted, in my opinion, that was the best thing I've ever done. I said some of the things, if anybody's taken Bold a couple times and you hear Diane Kokoska, she walks in and she says, I'm here, we have an appointment. She shows up early. Can I put my stuff down on the table? And now we're going to do this. I heard myself saying things and then we're going to make a decision. And they were like, okay, thinking, damn. All right, let's do this. Let's do this a lot of times. So that's my input on that.
You talking about how you started kind of segued into another question that we have in the chat. Stephanie asked, did you always start out focusing on listings or did you convert from buyers to listings?
So me personally, I was really focused on building, working with investors, and then finding them property and then renovating and putting them on the market. And I found that I did not want to do open houses. So I was having agents that weren't on my team. I didn't have a team for the longest time. I've only just really started to have 2 teams now. And I had agents that I would hire, like I would get from the market center and they would do open houses and they weren't converting anything either. So from that, I realized I need to, 1, get good at this, the open house, and 2, get good at getting the listings. So I started a little differently, but my goal is always to, meet, if you're walking a dog on the street, I'm going to go over and say hi and make friends. And, I don't necessarily always do the same cold. Definitely don't door knock. I know people are very successful with that. It's not a thing that I can do well. So I do other things that I do well. I didn't start specifically with buyers and go to listings. I started a little bit differently, but I think we need to be proficient at all of it to then be comfortable when you're in front of somebody that they know that, you've got them. Kind of long answer for a short question.
What was the question?
Did you always start out focusing on listings or did you convert buyers to listings gradually?
For me, I think I've always focused on listings, and what turned me onto that in a big way was years ago. I was working for an agency in Ocean City. The broker record's name was Tim Richards, who I think he was president of the board of realtors at one time in New Jersey. Really super guy. And he said to me, he says, you got to get listings, because if you get listings, the buyers have to come to you. That always stuck with me, and it's true. So like, I don't seek buyers. If somebody comes to me, I'll work with them if I feel comfortable with them and they feel comfortable with me, but I'm not really seeking buyers.
Well, what I would say for me, when I started, I was trying to get any business possible, whether it's a buyer or a seller, it didn't matter. I needed the business. And when I got into real estate, it was in 2008, and that's when the market actually crashed. And a lot of agents was running from real estate, and I was running into real estate, and I was so excited, like, yes, let me help you. Everybody was running. I'm like, what's going on? And the sky is falling, And I didn't know what that meant until they started explaining to me that the market was crashing and people were upside down on their houses. Well, I didn't have no money. I quit my job. I learned how to do short sales myself. And I came very good at it. And I started helping people avoid foreclosures and started selling their homes. And that's just where it took me. So it was at any given time back in 2009 and 10, I would carry 30 to 50 listings at a time because homes wasn't selling. But I realized if I priced the property right, meet the appraiser, and give them comps and things like that, I was getting these houses sold. And those people that I helped back then are still my clients today. They are buying houses from me, investment properties, they referring their family, their friends. And that is the best source of business, is referrals and repeat business, because you want to get to a point where you don't have to cold call every day. You know, you want to get that client and you want to provide the best customer service possible. So in the end, they can refer you business. And that's what it's about, you know, getting referrals. And now I would say 85% of my business comes from past clients, repeat business and referrals. And sometimes, as I just mentioned, from buyers or sellers that I've never even done business with, because I genuinely care for them and I reach out to them and just to touch base with them. So when they have a real estate need, who are they going to call? They're going to call me. And that's where I'm at right now. The other 15%, I do call expires and for sale by owners. Not as much as I used to, but I do. And when I do get those clients, I treat them the same as if they were my past clients and I stay in touch with them. I called expired last year. I was like, I haven't called expires in a while. I was like, all right, this is like February. Let me just call expires. Called an expired. He was an investor, has a lot of properties, had $1 million house over in Brigantine. He'd been trying to sell a property for like 6 years with agents on island. I convinced him to work with me. He gave me 90 days to sell the property. And I sold that property in 2 weeks before we even did an open house for $125,000 more than asking price. Cash offer closed in 2 weeks. That was my biggest commission. And then he gave me another property, what I just sold too, a $772,000 house in Galloway. And now I'm his real estate agent. And that was just from an expired. He has invited us to his house and to his gatherings. And we have a good relationship. And that's what you want to do, ultimately build relationships with people, because this is a relationship business and you have to do that. It makes your life so much easier.
When I started out in the business, almost around the same time as Howard, I called pretty much expireds and for sale by owners and door knocked. So I did not like working with buyers at all. And I just went after listings primarily. And just by default of calling expireds, I did do a lot of short sale business, got a lot of short sale listings. But like Howard said, I was carrying anywhere from 20 to 45 listings at any given point in time. And so I got really good at scripting price reductions as well. So you had to get really good at the price reduction skill set, which we haven't had to do for many years, but that does and probably will at some point come back into play. But the natural progression of most agents is working buyers for the first, 3 to 5 years. And then those buyers end up turning into listings in the future if you stay in relationship with them like Howard does and Mr. Havlin does as well.
Do you have a question directly for Howard? So when you say you lead generate, you were spending 3 to 4 hours calling your existing database, if you don't recall expires?
Yes, that's a good question. So what I do when I go into my office at 8 o'clock, from 8 to 12, I'm lead generating. So from maybe between 8 to 8:30, I'm calling expireds. From 8:30 to 9, I'm calling for sale by owners. From 9 to 11, I'm calling my database, which is my sphere. And then from 11 to 12, I'm following up on other leads. And follow-up is the key. That's where the business is at, lead follow-up. I want to share something with you guys about market sales statistics. And these are facts. 48% of salespeople will never follow up with a prospect. 25% of salespeople make a second contact and stop. 12% of salespeople only make 3 contacts and stop. Only 10% of salespeople make more than 3 contacts. 2% of sales are made on the first contact. 3% of sales are made on the second contact. 5% of sales are made on the third contact. 10% of sales are made on a fourth contact. Now here's the kicker. 80% of sales are made on the 5th to 12th contact. So that shows you how important lead follow-up is. Just because someone said no, doesn't mean they don't have a real estate need at this time. They just have to self-discover that they have a need. And if you stay in touch with them, they will list their property with you. It has happened. I had a client reach out to me years ago. He was trying to sell his property like 7 years ago, and he didn't hire me, but then he ended up hiring me because he said I'm the only person that stayed in touch with him. Lead follow-up is very, very important.
Since we're on this topic, what does everyone's lead follow-up systems look like?
Well, I'm gonna piggyback on what Howard said. So Howard's 100% right. And if you don't have a good database and a well-organized database and a system in your database to remind you to follow up with that lead, you're gonna have some challenges. So your lead follow-up system should be your database, and make sure you have a program in that database that reminds you every day to follow up on your lead. So just to piggyback off Howard.
So
Yeah,
I
was
use,
thinking-
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, what Howard was talking about is mind share. So you're making these multiple phone calls, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. These homeowners, when they're getting these calls, all they think about is you. So if somebody says to them, oh, do you know a realtor, that you're the first person that's going to come into their mind. So that's the beauty part of the follow-up, is that after a while, they know you, like you, and trust you, and maybe they're not ready to do something now, but when they're ready, they're gonna call. They're gonna call you. So
Yeah, exactly. I use Command pretty deeply. This used to be my lead follow-up system. I'd be at an open house and have that sign-in thing, and I'd have that lady who called me, and I'd have that guy, and never could find anything. I don't know how I could be as smart as I am at some things and really, really slow at other things. But when I came to Keller Williams, and it wasn't even Command, it was the original database, I was just like blown away. And I use Command pretty deeply with the tasks and just all of it. Just how do you know to keep track of anybody? That's that 2 o'clock wake up, you wait, I never called that person. Or so I use Command as my database, and I really try very, very hard to use all the aspects of it. And same thing, Howard. I time block in lead generation and then lead follow-up, and I can't do 4 hours at a time. I tend to waste time, I find, so I break it up, and I'll do an hour of lead gen, and it could be texting, it could be some phone calls, it could be, there's a variety of different things that I do. I found when I only did phone calls for that period of time, I was really not as effective. I spent more time procrastinating and thinking about why I didn't really want to call that person or whatever. So I break it up, then in the middle I do something else, and then I do lead follow-up. Every other lead that we've had some kind of contact with for whatever reason. I also do a bunch of other, I had to really break it up because I found, like, no matter how much I said I was going to do consistent lead generation 4 hours a day, I was never actually doing it. I was time blocking it and moving it off my calendar. So for me, I have to do other things. So for lead follow-up is a variety of things. We send out birthday cards. I have a system that just sends out, we do 2 months in advance. If it's somebody sick, we, I have a system that just sends out gifts or whatever. And then it gives me an opportunity. They'll call or they'll refer somebody. You're just being top of mind at all times. So those things, then it gives me an opportunity to follow up and say, hey, how you doing? Are you guys feeling better? I'm not asking them for any business. I'm just being there top of mind as somebody who's in the community and cares about them. So I used to not think of those as lead generation things, but they are, because it always keeps me in conversation with somebody, in relationship with them, so that when they are ready, or their sister gets married, or they have another baby, or all of those things. Networking. I do a lot of networking in ways that make sense, as opposed to going to a meetup where you have to walk in with a name tag. I found that some of the stuff that I just do naturally is lead generation. And the stuff that I like to do and I'm good at, then I try to put that consistently on my calendar, and that helps me lead generate. And then having a very real goal connected to it, a very big why, as to, it's a non-negotiable. If I don't do this much business, then these are the things that are going to happen negatively. And it took me a while to get to that. I can set very, very big goals and then have, weeks, months, whatever go by and not actually hit the mark, and then feel disappointed until I really took it very seriously, what my big why is. And then, so I had to find better, more consistent, more me ways to do those lead generation things to get the results I wanted.
Another question about different types of, lead generation and whatnot. Do you guys do any direct mailing? And if so, how much do you dedicate to marketing? How much? Yeah.
Can I say something about that?
Sure.
I don't do much direct mailing, but if I do, you have to follow up with a phone call. You can't just send something out in the mail and don't call that neighborhood. So if you send something out in the mail, then you follow up with a phone call. Hey, this is such and such. I just wanted to follow up to see if you got XYZ in the mail. And then you can go into your script. But if you don't call these people and you send out in the mail, it's gonna go right in the trash. And if you call a neighborhood and you get two prospects or two people who want you to, who gives you permission to stay in touch with them, you stay in touch and you put them in your database. You never know who they know or when they may think about buying or selling real estate. And that's how you build your database. And there's many ways to build your database and to get leads, you know. Like she just said, birthday cards, you know, all of that is forms of lead generation. What I find is just the most easiest and effective way is just to pick up the phone, you know, but you can do it many different ways, even through social media. But ultimately, you got to pick up the phone and talk to someone.
Right, yeah. Howard, are you using, so if you're sending it out to a farm for a postcard, say, you have a listing or you want to build a neighborhood or whatever it is, how are you getting the neighbors' numbers on the streets? Are you using a system like Kohl's or a dialer system? How are you getting their numbers?
Yes, we use a system. I don't use Kohl's anymore. We use Realist. We use Remind. And then you can just plug in that information and you can actually in Remind, you can put the price point in there that you want. You can, there's a lot of different cool tools that you can do with Reminds to pull up neighborhoods, and then you print out the flyers and you send them out. And I don't send out just flyers. I send out a letter, like a real handwritten letter. It gets a higher percentage chance of someone opening it.
Like the golden letter?
That too. Yep,
Yeah.
that,
Cool,
but
right?
even if it's just like, you know, I just sold this, you know, we're gonna put it in an envelope.
Yeah, they're more likely to open it as opposed to over the garbage like this, right? Yeah, cool.
So I do direct mail to my top 150 in my database. So these are people that know me, like me, and trust me, that I've worked with before, or they give me referrals. So we do a monthly little postcard, and then do special postcards for special events, like when Thanksgiving, we give away pies to that group. And then in the springtime, we do like a day at the zoo in Cape May. And that's direct mail, but I don't do any blind direct mail. So people that I know and they know me.
I personally don't do any direct mail, but my goal for this year is to get my top 150 organized and mail them every month just to stay more top of mind. And my intention with that is to send them just listed, just sold postcards, just so they can see that I'm active in the market. So that will be the marketing material I'll be sending to them versus like a generic, you know, recipe card or stuff like that. It'll be, you know, properties that we're listing and selling and putting under contract, things of that nature.
Do you send your just listed, just sold, like an email blast drip campaign through Command or whatever CRM you're using? Is anybody doing that successfully?
Should be doing that.
I was doing it inconsistently. We're going to get back to doing that regularly. That even though you know for a fact they're not buying a house right now, they're seeing that you do business and that you do, you know, and you never know who they meet at, you know, Wawa or whatever. Oh, that, you know, this guy's great. And he just told me he's got a house listed in Beach Haven West or whatever.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get back to doing that as well.
Now in this direct mail, is it just giving like information about the market? Are you like just providing value? Like saying, hey, this is, you know, the value of like the homes in your area have gone up X%. And then you follow up with that without a phone call or a door knock? Like, I guess what is the content in the direct mail itself?
So we're about to do CMAs for every client that we have done in the last year or before, just rerunning the numbers on their house and sending it to them direct mail, not postcard mail, but in an email, in a, you know, an email blast, I guess you would call it. And then having them then following up with them. So I guess that could be considered direct mail. So you're following up, these people already, they bought a house from you at some point. and then rerunning their numbers on their house value, and then a little bit about the market. That's one thing that we're putting on the schedule to audit. If I can't automate it now, I just have great ideas and I just don't ever really get them all executed. So I'm really working diligently on getting them done and then automated out. So it's not only me that's doing it. I think there's money in people's, you never know. I sold a house to somebody a year ago. They called me and said they were ready to sell their house. I thought, you barely even decorated. You just sold the house. You just bought the house. They were ready to have a second baby and they wanted to move down to Tom's River, and they were coming from Bergen County. So you never know.
I have a question for Rich.
Mhm.
Now, you touched on this a minute ago, but can you go a little bit more into detail about how you follow up with your sphere and what your system looks like?
Okay, so we do postcards monthly to the, not the entire sphere, but we're talking about top 150 of them. Emails, phone calls quarterly, special events, like I said, the pie giveaway or day at the zoo, something like that we give away for free. We're doing this month for January, we're doing like an equity check, similar to what you were talking about. A few years ago, we never gave people an analysis of what their equity was because they didn't have any. It was negative, but now everybody's got, pretty much everybody has equity now, so it's pretty cool. And a lot of people, they don't have a clue. And maybe they're not thinking of selling, but it doesn't matter. It just shows that we care and we're providing them with value. So emails, phone calls, snail mail with postcards, birthday cards, anniversary, stuff like that.
Earlier on, Howard mentioned that his 85% of his business is repeat. What about everybody else? You don't know?
Mine's probably about the same.
Yeah, mine is too. And the other percentage, it's probably 85, close to 90. And then the other people that come in, they're buyers that come from my listings. So I get both sides. So that works out real well because I'm not really seeking buyers.
I haven't gotten, so for buyer leads through list, back 10 years ago, Gary Keller used to preach, if you had listings, you'd get buyer leads organically from those listings. What I have found in the last, I would say 3.5 years, having listings to get buyers is no longer a good strategy, simply because all these other companies like Zillow and Realtor.com have taken those buyer leads away from us and sold them out to other real estate agents. So I haven't personally found that to be a legitimate system any longer. But I think if you have a listing and you did open houses and promoted it through social media, I think that's more of a better strategy to get buyer leads from your listings. But I don't get leads from my listings any longer unless I'm doing open houses on them. That's just my personal what I've seen.
One trick that I do to get buyers call me on my listings.
Mhm.
I use what I call an ugly yellow sign. I use a regular nice Keller Williams silk screen sign, and I have a little rider says Haviland Group, that my cell phone's not on there.
Oh.
But then I add a little, I don't know, it's like 2x3 corrugated ugly yellow sign on the little wire things. And with a magic marker, like I'll write on there, home for sale, 2,400 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2 baths, with in-law apartment. Call, and I just put my cell phone number on that. And then in small print, which nobody can read, it says Keller Williams and Lakeshore, just to keep it kosher.
That's great.
People will call the ugly yellow sign because they think they're calling the owner. And so that's how I've gotten
That's a
buyers
great idea.
doing that way.
It's a
Yeah,
great
you've been
idea.
doing that for years. so.
Yeah, it works.
That's
Not
a
all the
great
time, but
idea. It's
yeah.
great.
Oh.
Diana, how much of your business is repeat?
Well, because I work with investors, it's buy, renovate, sell, and like it's a consumable product. So I need another one to make any more money. So definitely repeat. I looked at our numbers when we were doing year end and first quarter for this year, and we have a lot of our business is referral, a lot, which it never was before because I never asked before. Now, it's kind of amazing. You ask and make it a point of following up with people and make it a part of your business. And there it is. So we get a great amount of referrals. And yeah, a good percentage is repeat specifically because of what we do. And the agents on my team are just phenomenal about really connecting with the people that they work for. So they love them, they invite them to their barbecue. They invite, everybody's very much connected because they take care of them like they're their own family. So yeah, definitely repeat and referral for sure, more than ever before in my career.
That's the best source of business.
You work so hard the first time, you might as well keep them, right?
All right.
Unless they're the ones that,
But someone that it's your first time working with them, how do you ask them for a referral? Aside from like doing a great job and following up.
Is there anyone else that you think could use my help?
Yeah, just ask for the business, or if you do something great for them, and they say, oh, I really appreciate that, You say, listen, I'm glad you did. Who else do you know that we can possibly help that would like to have the same experience? Just ask for the business. And one thing that we do too is on all of our presentations, whether it's a listing presentation or a buying presentation, we have a promise and goal agreement that we ask them, go over it with them, and we explain to them that we're going to provide the best customer service possible. And while we are helping them get what they want, would they refer us someone who's thinking about buying a house, selling a house, or investing in real estate? And they always say, sure, absolutely. So during that transaction, we ask them for the business. And sometimes we get business and sometimes we don't. But if you don't ask, you don't receive. So you just ask. People be more than willing to give you the business.
I was trying to remember what that was, Howard. I have yet to incorporate that consistently, but I heard somebody say that it's at probably family reunion or something, same thing. You start the conversation, the relationship with that. So you've already had and they're like, yes, of course. So you've already asked permission to ask and follow up. I have not done that in that way consistently, but now we have every week we're calling, how's it going? I know it's crazy. I know there's a lot going on. Is there anything we can do better? Is there anything else we can do? Sometimes it's just to listen to them freaking out. And then follow up with an email saying, asking for, referrals, asking for how are we doing for testimonials. It will be at the end, but asking for referrals. Is there anybody else? I know you guys are nuts right now. We love working with you. Is there, if you can think of anybody else in your family, your life, if you ever, please let me know. And then just consistently in different ways doing that. But I heard that mentioned a while ago, Howard, and I never consistently did that, like a 5-star thing. We're going to ask you if we've delivered 5-star service, I think is what you're doing, the commitment.
Yeah, we're doing that. And then we also get them to give us a 5-star Google review as well.
Yep.
And what I've started doing, I don't know, maybe about a couple years now, is where after they buy or sell a house, I get them to give a video testimonial about my services under 60 seconds, and I post it on social media. And I get a ton of business from that because people don't want to hear how great I am. I let somebody else tell them how great I am.
Impressive. I've had that on my to-do list for a long time. It's yet to actually come off my to-do list and get on my channel. So a new goal. Dan, somebody likes your hat.
Do all you guys have your own?
Keeps my ears warm.
Do all you guys have your own YouTube channel?
Yeah, I have one.
I don't use it much, but
Not many people who
Yeah,
look
I
at
don't
it.
use it much as well, but I do have one. This year, I'm going to start utilizing it a lot more.
Everybody's looking at, don't look at mine. So just before I say this, do not look at mine because it's not what the vision is. But everybody, you're watching TikTok, right? Everybody's watching videos. Everybody wants a quick fix. And so I think that I take, again, something that I saw at family reunion 2 years ago, last time we were in person. Everybody's looking at videos. So that's kind of where I started doing really terrible videos. And I can tell you how terrible they are because my kids, I have 4 adult boys, would call me and say, Mom, seriously? I mean, you're embarrassing yourself. So at least I know they're getting seen. I would just walk through properties and say, you know, this is a new construction and we're ripping it down, you know, through the whole process. I have gotten better, that much better. But yeah, I think it's important that we're doing it at whatever degree I used to not want to be in the video. I hated the way I sound. I hate the way I look. I hated everything. And then I heard it enough times. That's what you're going to sound and look like when you show up for the appointment. So they've seen you. So I just started doing a lot of videos and putting it on social media. And now I'm working at, gonna get real serious about doing it professionally on YouTube and on TikTok. Literally TikTok seemed like a ridiculous thing to me. I'm definitely not dancing on TikTok, but it's that quick scroll video kind of thing that, yeah, that's a market that's available that you can do for free. And we should all be in some way jumping on that social media bandwagon for sure. But don't look at mine yet. I still look stupid, but I'm working on not looking stupid.
I feel the same way when we do videos. I feel the same way, but you know, you just gotta do it. You just gotta do it. That's all.
Rip the Band-Aid off. Don't go back and look at it. Just post it. Post it on stories. It goes away.
It's a good piece of advice.
I always know when something happens. Like I said, one of my kids calls me and is like, oh God, do you have to post that stuff? And could you not tag me?
I think that we are all caught up on questions inside of the chat. Does anybody else have any questions?
I got one. Dan and I were talking about this earlier, went over my numbers at the end of the year. What's your percentage of your business sell versus buy, right? Like 80% sell, 20% buyers, that kind of thing. I looked at mine last year, so I know what I was. I'm just curious.
Mine's, I can tell you, I'm 50-50.
That's where you should be.
I've been 50-50 for the longest time, but I'd say in the last 2 years, I've definitely shifted way over to the listing side. Probably I'm 80-20 at this point. My intention is to take it to like 90-10. I've turned down more buyer business last year than ever. I just won't really work with anyone unless they're ready to buy very quickly and they're very well qualified. And then everything else I refer out.
So I'm looking at my numbers and I always consider myself a listing agent, but actually it's almost 50-50. I don't really like that. But it worked out okay. I had a good year.
It's actually a good ratio.
Yeah, but I'd rather not do 50-50.
People are texting me right now. I think your buyers. 30% referral fee. You have my email address, everyone.
I used to be very heavy on the listing side. And now that I'm working on building other people's businesses with buyer agents, we're 65% listing, a lot heavier on buyers than I ever was before. So I'm working on building other people's businesses. So we're going to keep working with buyers.
But I will say one thing, and this is because I know the office has a ton of new agents. Don't be afraid to work with buyers. You know, we're talking up here, you know, we've all been in the business for an extremely long amount of time. Do not turn down business. Do not think that you're too good to work buyers. I mean, buyers still pay you the same commission and there's nothing to, you know, the average is it takes 40 hours to get paid on a buyer, 10 hours to get paid on a listing. Those are real averages. So listings definitely are leverage in your personal life and your business life. However, if you're less than 5 years in the business, work whoever's willing to work with you. That's what I'll say to that.
You're getting paid. When I got started, I had no choice but to get a paycheck. I was a single mom, little kids. I just had a catastrophe in my life and I had to feed them every week regardless. And remember Craigslist, I would go, somebody showed me how to post something on Craigslist and I would work with renters. I just, you know, and kind of reverse engineer. I did anything I could do to get business, and a buyer is going to turn into a lister, and a buyer that you handle well is going to end up being a lister. I still feel the same way. I need to get paid. I still have a lot of people that I'm responsible to. I need to get paid. So wherever we're going to get the business, don't ever think that you just need to do listings, because it's a skill that you have, in my opinion, in my experience. I had to develop that skill. I had to get comfortable with what I was saying, who I was talking to, and what I was talking about before I could get in the door and then actually get out the door with the listing. So work with buyers, get paid, and turn those into people that love and trust you.
And the more people you work with, the more skills you'll get in your tool belt. So don't be afraid, even on the listing side, don't be afraid to meet with anyone that even raises their hand to wanting to sell a property, even if you think they're not realistic. At least it gives you that practice on your scripts and your behavior in that person's home. So don't even do that too as well. Just go on every appointment you can, especially when you're new in the business. So, yeah.
I agree. Take all the business you can get, like Diana said, buyers, you still can get paid from buyers.
Yeah.
And I work with buyers, I work with sellers.
Short
I
sales.
prefer, short sales. I'm doing a short sale now. I'm still doing them. But yes, I want to get paid and I want to help people. And even if it is a buyer, well, you don't know who they know that's a seller.
Mhm.
And you don't know who else they know that could refer you business, and you take care of all of them. So once you get that business, you make sure you provide the best customer service possible. And if anything ever happens in a transaction, this is the #1 rule. Always take responsibility, even if it was a home inspector or title company, because most likely you referred them, and just say, you know what, I sincerely apologize, please forgive me. How can we make this, how can we fix this? Because obviously if there's a problem, let's find a solution and go right to the solution, and you take it, and they will remember that. I mean, I had a young lady one time, we was doing a transaction, and we was at the closing table, and the mortgage lender messed up the altar, and she was like $400 short for the survey, and the seller wasn't giving it, nobody was giving it, the lender wasn't giving it. And you know what, I pulled out my checkbook and I said, no problem, and I wrote that $400 check. I had a $6,000 commission in. I'm not letting $6,000 go for $400. I wrote that check, and she has done a ton of business with me since then, and she always remembered that. So always go over and beyond than what is expected of you. Trust me, we'll come back.
Good advice.
Well said.
All right, if there's no other questions, I'd like to thank our panelists. Thank you all so much for spending time with us today. Have a good day.
Thank you. This was great. Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.